This weekend, it's finally softball season. Coach Sewell, practices are over. You ready to go? You ready to get this
Well,
thing
and
cranked up?
the weather decided it was softball season, so that helps. So we all got in the mood this week, I think. So you could tell the change, and just I think we were sort of on a vitamin D deficiency for a while. So it's been nice. I could tell the change in the locker room. So
No question. Softball season is here. This is going to be the first of all weekend previews throughout the year with you, Coach Sewell. So we appreciate you taking time throughout the season, number one. But, we caught up back in the fall, the excitement really building off, of course, getting back to the NCAA tournament, which is always the standard. Now that the fall is complete, your winter training's complete. How does Coach feel now before you write up your first lineup card this weekend?
yeah, I think we're always in that good position of it's time, right? It's time to go see what product you really have on the field. It's time to go play. We're sick of playing each other. The pitchers don't want any part of the hitters, and the hitters don't want any more of the pitchers. So it's time to go see another opponent. So, and with our schedule, I think it's a perfect balance of some high mid majors, some power fives, and we've just been talking about kind of going one game at a time. So it's time. It's just time to get out and see what we have.
You're going to find out what you have, but of course, Jackie Liss has been getting a lot of attention heading into the season, and so much of that is deserved. What makes her earn those accolades? What makes her different than maybe some players you've coached in the past, which you've coached a lot of good ones?
Yeah, I think Jackie sort of comes from a pedigree where she's used to sort of putting in the work. She's a player that will spend a lot of extra time with film or with the little details you'll notice. Instead of just taking thousands of reps, she'll try to improve 1/25th of her game, which is in those types of players, those are All-American type players. They want to get as close to perfection as possible, so they'll do the littlest things, make the littlest corrections you've seen, and they kind of go unsatisfied. And I think those types of players, we probably would border them on obsessed a little bit with sort of getting the game right.
You mentioned being obsessed, but that's an area, of course, that you look at, right, in recruiting and everything with your team.
Yeah, I think those types of players, they're coming along quite a bit here now with Carey recruiting a lot of those types of players. And then they can get obsessed even with just the technology and things like that. They can go a couple different directions now to sort of look at the itty-bitty parts of their game and try to improve little things. I think, they're constantly asking questions, not questioning, but wanting to know more. Give me what you have. I hear that a lot out of her. I want to know everything. I mean, down to things like 2-pitch sequences that people throw her, what is the setup pitch to before I hit a home run? What is the setup pitch before I whiff? So little itty bitty things that she can handle that makes her special.
Where has this group improved the most since when you first left off in the winter, when you finally got back? And look, it can be a challenge. A lot of it depends on the weather around here, which at times you've had some warm days to get outside.
Yeah.
But where's this group really improved since the last time you picked up a lot in the fall?
I would say that freshman group really merging with the rest of the program was big for us. That I could tell was happening in the fall, but in January it really came together. You're going to see Johnson and the Groffs and Knutson and Kiana sort of get into the mix now. I thought January was really about how are we going to put that class into this lineup, and we did that. The chemistry was great. Offense, defense, and pitching are going to be there. I just think we were fine-tuning it to the details, and then we need to go play each other and find another round of, corrections, and then go back, play again, and then sort of come back and reevaluate.
I know Maddie gets a lot of the conversation, which we did back in the fall with what she did, persevering through so much in the conference tournament. Now that she's healthy, what's an area that you feel like maybe she's added to her game that could really help her here in the spring now?
Yeah, I think she spent the first 3 years sort of dominant on the power side. And, each year you come back, if you're going to pitch 20 games in the Valley, you've got to you have to find a wrinkle, and you have to bring that new wrinkle each year. And I think when she was injured, she didn't have time to go back and really improve her wrinkle. A lot of times that was a breaking pitch or an off-speed pitch. So I think she's retooled her changeup, retooled the glove side of the plate a lot with Katie Griffith, and I think you're going to see that. Now she can still very much go to her pitch, but I think that second and third time through she was struggling with what do I throw as my third and fourth pitch. And I think she went back and really this offseason got healthy enough to train that way and train that pitch live, and she's thrown a ton of hitters now. So instead of just throwing a bullpen every day where you can't really tell if that pitch is going to work. She's seen a lot of time. So
before we get to the actual weekend and the opponents you'll see, which I know you're eager about to get on the field and finally see some data of this year, you're able to have basically your fundraising dinner just the other night here inside, which I know is a really big event each and every year. What type of turnout did you have? What was the success like for that event, as I know is one that's really special for you guys as a program?
Yeah, it's really sort of the season is here moment for us. So it's when our fans get to come and really meet that new roster and see them in person. I think those fans probably got a sense of the chemistry that we have, the fun that we can have in the room, and the value that we place on all the things in our program: academics, community service, the fan base, and winning. But it's also just a moment for our kids to say thank you to their fan base and say, hey, we're going to come in March. We hope you're there. But it's a really unique event to this place. I think Carrie did a great job. And each year it gets a new thing added. And I think this year it was fun just to sit down and see. We had a great turnout in terms of, like, I see all the new faces, but I see the old faces too. And that's really important. The people that just, whether it's a new coach, a new team, they just keep coming back. And we'll see them, they're already telling us, we can't wait for March. And so, I'm like the same way. So, but we have a lot to do before that. And I know the kids are excited to play in front of them.
Well, you mentioned a lot to do before that. It starts this weekend. Of course, you always load up the schedule. You want to see what you have. What are the biggest things you're going to see really right out of the gate starting with Creighton this weekend?
Yeah, we're talking about a much improved team, new coach, new recruiting class, new transfer class, a lot of high mid-majors that went out and sort of retooled their rosters through the transfer portal. Creighton will be much improved. UTSA has a former SEC coach now. And then Texas State has always been, much like us, very historic program, has been there in the last 64 into the tournament. So I think it's a great first outing. I think the interesting part of this tournament will be facing Texas State Saturday night and returning to face them Sunday morning. And when you play that 5-game schedule, sometimes you have to throw the lot at them on Sunday and just go through the entire pitching staff. And I think both of us will empty the tank on Sunday. So
it's always one of the questions I like asking coaches right before the first competition of the year, and that is, do you feel like you're ready? And I feel like coaches all the time are like, give me a few more practices and maybe I can get my feelings better. But for you, what has you most excited just to see this team now go compete against somebody else?
Even today I was thinking there's no practice plan that I can think of that we need to accomplish at this point. We really need to freshen up and shorten down probably the work that we're doing, and we'll do that this week and really come into Friday's series fresh. I really just want to see what we have. I think we're probably 15, 16 deep on offense. All pitchers need to go. Everybody needs to be seen on the field. They've earned that. It's time to start. My favorite part is messing with some lineup cards. We have some hitting pitching, which we haven't had in a long time. How are we going to use that? What does that look like when we make a change, to non-hitting pitching? So there's so many exciting ways to use the DH in our sport. But, there's 15, 16 there that need time. We're stacked up deep in a couple spots, which is a great problem to have. So we're going to try to get everybody onto the field and see, where are you at? How are you feeling? And I told him the other day, don't guess the lineup card. Let's just go. Most of the time, at the end of the game, we've crossed off everybody. We maybe have one sub, and that's the way we've always done it. And we've just continued to put the pieces in over and over again.
But when you go through a year like last year where you have injury issues, whatever the case may be, you have to do that, right? Is that one of the things where, yes, you got to win the game and you got to play those who are best that are going to help you. But early on in the season, how important is just I got to try to experiment a little bit with my lineup because you have the ability to afford to experiment.
Yeah, I think you can't in this day and age. The D1, game schedule is so long and so tough that you have to think about worst case scenario all the time. And especially with the pitching staff and some of the core players in the middle of the field, you have to get the next player a lot of at-bats and make sure that she's ready to go as well. And not only on our program, I think they deserve that, but we can really mix and match in a lot of ways and keep the hottest players on the field. And then when they cool off a little bit, we can make a change.
Coach Sewell, appreciate the time. Really excited to see your team play because I know there's a lot of expectation, but that's what you want when you're around here. You want that expectation bar. I know a lot of folks here are really excited to see your team play,
Yeah,
too.
no, super excited. I think you're going to see a lot of young but old talent on this field, and I think it's going to be an exciting year. So
that's the head coach, Jen Sewell. Again, they get it going against Creighton this weekend. Get Creighton first, UTSA, Northwestern State, and then, as Coach said, Texas State twice on the 10th and the 11th. All the games start on Friday, February 9th at 10 a.m. against Creighton. Coach, we look forward to talking to you next week.
thank you, Luke.
Once again, that's the head coach, Jen Sewell. This is Saluki Softball.